The sponsor of this episode of The Stand is Principal Financial Group.
All right, so let's get started.
Wave hello to Zane. He's king of the ping.
Hi, Zane.
For every one sentence spoken on a call, he has 3 comments, 2 memes, and 4 emojis to contribute. A flood of positivity during every single meeting.
Thanks, Zane.
But oh, how his passion for product management takes your team from level 0 to level Zane. You need Zane. Zane needs benefits. Work with Principal so we can help you help Zane with a retirement and benefits plan that's right for him. Let our expertise round out yours.
Hi, Lemonaders. It's Alan Wilson from GLJ Benefit Consultants, and welcome to another edition of The Stand on the Lemonade for Legal Network. We are here today. Joining us from Principal is my friend and soon to be your friend, Dolce Sutton. Dolce, hello.
Hello, it's great to see you.
Welcome to The Stand.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you, Dolce. So, Dolce, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the Principal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the Regional Director of Executive Benefits for the Southwest region. I help out with the states Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, El Paso, Texas, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Within that territory, I partner with brokers to ensure that groups' highest earners are insured to the best of Principal's ability. That often looks like considering guarantee standard issue disability policies as well as guarantee term life policies.
Awesome, Dolce. Thank you so much for letting us know who you are. Of course, I know you as Dolce Cabana.
Yes,
But, it is Dolce. So we are so excited to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about executive benefits and really what we're during our conversation here, we are going to get to an absolute core issue, which I know exactly what it's ultimately going to end up being, but I'm going to take some great notes and tell us about executive benefits and mostly proportionate benefits for high earners. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So what most groups are really going to have is a group long-term disability plan in place. This is going to cover if an individual is disabled, and in most cases, it's going to cover up to 60% of their income, or at least that's how the plan is designed to. When a run-of-the-mill employee is reading their plan design, they see that 60% to $15,000, and they may think, in that instance, they're getting 60% of their income replaced in the event of a disability. Well, really, in cases where an individual is making more than what that cover or that maximum can support, that individual is actually underinsured and has less than 60% income for that individual.
Yeah, so we're talking about long-term disability, and that is certainly what you and I have worked with on many cases, and in many law firms. What we see at GLJ, we see that law firms in many instances that their partners and the high earners, the rainmakers of the firm are totally uninsured when it comes to having a disability. And give me that feeling of that understanding of how often does a disability happen as opposed to life insurance, as opposed to a death.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have this conversation all the time because I feel like everyone really understands life insurance. An individual passes away, a benefit is paid out. None of us think we're going to be disabled tomorrow. And I think it's something like 1 in 4 25-year-olds today will be disabled at some point in their career. And you really want to be prepared in those instances because we're not all financially saved up enough to support ourselves for 6, 9, 10 months, whatever that looks like in the event of a disability.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Dolce. So we're talking about long-term disability, and typically long-term disability in a group plan, for firms, they're usually layered out, right? There's usually there's a higher benefit for the partners or some of the executives. And like you mentioned, usually it goes up to 15,000. Sometimes you find it at 20,000. But many firms that are out there, they're in between 10 and 20, right? But what that pays is that pays 60% of their pre-disability earnings up to that amount. And then there's a tax situation that they're faced with. And for high earners that are making $500,000 a year or higher, $300,000 a year or higher, it's not proportionate when they have a disability to be able to replace some income. So that's where executive benefits comes in. And tell us a little bit about really the issue of firms being really prepared for disability.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you alluded to it, that 60% to $15,000 or $20,000 long-term disability plan, that is going to fully insure a good majority of a law firm. But like you said, those partners, those high earning employees, they're going to be underinsured and could really benefit from additional coverage. We do have solutions like that. I know we'll get into that eventually, but it is really important to consider that gap and what we can do to fill it so that an individual does truly receive 60% of their income replaced in the event of a disability.
And I think that education is super important, especially to HR directors and administrators who need that help and that assistance to understand how to then go have that conversation with their managing partner, with their partnership committees, with their benefits committees, in understanding what proportionate benefits really are and how they work. So I've been making some notes here, and I know that we've talked so many times about this, but I think the core issue, and you please tell me if we're right here, is how do leaders, and that would be HR directors, managing partners, chief executive officers, chief administrators, how do leaders identify and then address what proportionate executive benefits are and how they implement those into their individual firm? Is that I think that's probably what the issue is, or that's what the challenge is.
Option would be more of a mathematical solution. So you'll have to bear with me. I did not major in math. I majored in business. But ultimately, the metric that we're looking for is that 60% income replacement. So as I had mentioned, and we both mentioned with that long-term disability plan design, a $15,000 max on a 60% to $15,000 LTD plan design fully insures individuals making $300,000 or less. So now we can take a look at that plan design and we can go, okay, all of our partners are actually making over $300,000, or some of our attorneys are in that metric as well. And now we can carve out individuals who are truly mathematically underinsured by their salary metric in that instance. So for that plan design, it's going to be $300,000. For a $20,000 max, it'll be $400,000 salary. It just changes depending on what we're considering from a long-term disability perspective.
So I think that we've definitely identified the issue and we've started to go into some of the solution. So we will address this on the other end or on the other side. We'll be right back.
And when I got there, they have the sushi like
This is Clem.
they're built like sushi classy. So
Clem's not a morning person,
I was like, I'm tasting it.
or a night person, or a people person. But he is, and I can solve this in 4 different ways person. And that person is impossible to replace. You need Clem. Clem needs benefits. Work with Principal so we can help you help Clem with a retirement and benefits plan that's right for him.
Sure, but I'm confident, you know.
Let our expertise round out yours.
Okay, we are back, Lemonaders, with Dolce Sutton from Principal. And Dolce, you do such a great job with executive benefits. And you know, in our earlier conversation here, we've talked about how leaders identify proportionate benefits for long-term disability. You know, we started to get into some of the criteria. So let's get into the solution. But before we start getting into that solution, I think it's important to talk a little bit about the transferring of risk. So when firms are taken by surprise with a disability event and they're uninsured, that disability event comes along and all of a sudden they're uninsured, they're scrambling to file a claim, but it doesn't have to get to that point where benevolence becomes the decision if there's a transfer of risk.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the conversation when leaders are talking about disability within their firms, I get one of two answers. The first one being, well, there's state disability that I can file for. The state can cover me. Those are solutions like that. The second option is they're like, oh, well, we're going to keep that individual on payroll. We're going to take care of them during their disability, and then they'll come back. That is a really honorable answer. I do hear it very often, and I appreciate that firms want to take care of their employees and really, thank them for all of the time and dedication that they've had to that firm. But what do you do in an instance where someone has a disability and they're not going to be able to come back? Or that 6 months of disability turned into 2, 3, 5 years worth? That is really going to be an instance where a firm is going to want to transfer that risk over to an insurance company like Principal. This is what we do. We take care of employees during difficult times in their lives.
Yeah, my experience certainly with Principal, but my experience with having to deliver on a disability claim, I've had to do that many times in my career, and it's difficult when it's not there. It becomes so much more of a difficult, challenging situation. But so let's talk about the solution and how it works. Is it hard? Is it hard for a firm to reach out and get quoted, and is it expensive? I mean, there's all those things that go into, well, it's just going to be too expensive, or oh, it's just going to be it's going to be hard to administer. Tell us about how it works.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everything starts down to a census. And I can tell you right now, someone in HR or someone at that firm has the details of all their employees. That's really what we need to get started. What I really like to see is salaries that include bonuses and commissions. I can't tell you, Alan, how many times I see law firms and all of their partners are making $100,000 on maybe their W-2 from just a base wage perspective. But now we've got bonuses and commissions, and they're not going to be fully insured in an instance of a disability if we're just considering the $100,000 base wage. So I would start there with a quote with just a census. It's as easy as that, working with great brokers like yourself to kind of get the ball rolling.
So I think that's really important, Dulcie, is that the long-term disability stack, as we call it, it includes their total income. It includes bonuses. It includes those things. So it's very easy to get into. Executive benefits it almost sounds ominous, but it's not. It's really providing proportionate benefits for the most important people who are making it rain for those law firms. Hey, in closing, what else can you share with us? What are your final thoughts of executive benefits, specifically long-term disability?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say to be prepared. I mean, none of us are expecting to have a disability, but we could have instances, whether it's an injury or a sickness, that would make us unable to work. And you want to be prepared in those instances. I mean, lawyers dedicate, years of schooling. They're very specialized. They have high incomes and they've earned them. They should be protecting those paychecks. Another thing I'll mention is firms should be looking for coverage from their employer, lawyers should be looking for coverage from their employer. That is a really great way to get full insurance. It's also the most cost-effective option in many cases, as well as being enrolled in what I call in my world, guarantee issue, meaning no questions asked for that employee. They're getting the best rate we can possibly get them without any interruption to their day-to-day. So now they're getting fantastic coverage. The firm is offering it to them, and they can be taken care of in the hopes that they never have to use it, but it will be there in the worst case scenario.
That's awesome. And what a great recruitment tool it is for the firm to be offering really solid benefits and proportionate, to their lawyers and their leaders. Dolce, you're awesome. I love that you have come on here. How do people reach out to you, or how do people learn a little bit more about executive benefits through Principal?
Absolutely. I would definitely connect with me over LinkedIn. That's going to be the easiest. There are not a whole lot of Dolce Suttons out there. So as long as you get the spelling correct, you can find me that way. As well as, Alan, you can share my contact, cell phone, email, pretty easy. I'm always available to talk through options, as well as I just want to encourage everyone to really look into what their disability policy is today and figure out the best course of action for them.
That's great. Dolce, thank you for joining us on The Stand.
Happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Insurance products issued by Principal Life Insurance Company, a member of the Principal Financial Group, Des Moines, Iowa 50392. Disability insurance has limitations and exclusions. For cost and coverage details, contact your Principal representative. Guarantees are based upon the claims paying ability of the Principal Life Insurance Company. The subject matter in this communication is educational only and provided with the understanding that Principal is not rendering legal, accounting, investment, or tax advice. You should consult with appropriate counsel, financial professionals, and other advisors on all matters pertaining to legal, tax, investment, or accounting obligations and requirements. Not for use in New Mexico. Copyright 2025 Principal Financial Services Incorporated. Principal Financial Group, and Principal and the logo mark design are registered trademarks of Principal Financial Services Incorporated, a Principal Financial Group company in the United States, and are trademarks and service marks of Principal Financial Services Incorporated in various countries around the world.